today we have Joy Adams. He can sell anything, anytime. He can even sell us. And today he's here to tell us his story, his entrepreneurship journey, very adventurous. If you're going to talk about boldness, courage, and resilience, Joy Adams will definitely fit in that word. So, Joy Adams, how are you?
I'm good, Esther.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Joy Adams?
I describe myself as a videographer and an innovator.
And an innovator.
Yeah.
All right. Right on that innovative journey and an entrepreneur, I know videography is your passion and you've really done a lot in that area,
Yeah.
I mean, which you will tell us about. But did you ever know when you were younger that you would be an entrepreneur, an innovator, you would start something?
While I was young, I actually didn't know anything, but I really would try to do a lot of things. I'll just make statements. Mm-hmm. Like I remember back at home when I was growing up in Tharaka, and I think where our home is like a flight path. So a plane every day, mm-hmm. there's a certain plane that will just pass above the skies. Mm-hmm. And I remember, because my dad was out in school as a teacher, and my mom, I was staying with my mom at home. I'll tell her, one day I'm going to make that plane. One day I'm going to be on that plane. Mm-hmm. So for me, that is how my life was. And whenever I went to like the market, the nearby market, I'd go to the garages. And we used to have a lot of bicycles, the garages back in Shags. Mm-hmm. We never used to have motorbikes. We never used to have a lot of cars that time. Mm-hmm. So I would collect a lot of, these movable parts, small car parts and bicycle parts, mm-hmm. bearings. And I'll just come home with them. And they'll be like, why do you bring all these? This is just garbage. Why are you collecting all these things,
Yeah.
But for me, I think all these parts, they really interested me in how, my curiosity was like, how are they designed? What were people thinking? What were the purpose of this part? Mm-hmm. And so that is how I think my curiosity led me to think about the mechanical world. How do people create things? Why? What knowledge do they have that we don't have?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what makes it easier for them to create these things? Mm-hmm. So that was my life when growing up. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I think because I'm left-handed, I'm a very practical person. Mm-hmm. I like to do things with my hands. I like to think through stuff. I just like to do the work. I don't like a lot of theories.
Yeah.
Yeah, theory is good, but I need to connect it to something. I need to connect it to something.
So what was your defining moment? I mean, you've gone through primary, you've gone through high school, you've gone through university. At what point did you make the decision to be an entrepreneur? Take us through that, and what was that like?
Actually, I think entrepreneurship, it's either you're born with it or you're not. I remember when I was in high school, I don't know what really happened, but I just found myself I had 2 cameras in high school. Mm-hmm. And of course, I would take photos and I would process them, and people would pay me 30 shillings per photo. So I'd make a lot of money. And
no one told you that.
Now looking back, later of course going back to DESA to study media and production. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I've been around cameras for a long time. Yeah, but also I think part of it is the background, mm-hmm. because I remember my dad used to have a camera, mm-hmm. and so one of the cameras I had in high school was given I had received it from my dad, and then I bought another one. So I had 2 cameras taking photos, and I would train other people how to do it. And of course, then I went to DESA, studied media and production. But then in campus, I was so passionate about my studies that I never really involved myself within entrepreneurship. In fact, I think I was struggling financially.
Yeah.
But God provided. Mm-hmm. And I think it's after campus now, again, when the pressures had come down, mm-hmm. I started thinking about business, about ideas and stuff like that. Yeah, and I remember I've had the curiosity to build things, to just build things. Mm-hmm. And I remember in 2019, I thought of an idea. And after watching several YouTube videos, I was like, now I'm going to to see whether this idea is possible or not. So I wanted to fabricate air compressor.
Wow.
So I went to another mechanic. I asked him, is it possible to do this? Can I use your tools? Because that time I never had a grinder. I never had a welding machine.
Yeah.
And he said, now for you to make this is what you need. I said, I already have those things, the accessories, the things we needed to make the air compressor.
Yeah.
And so I used to have like an old air compressor from the fridge, which had been put away and replaced with a new one. So we used that air compressor we repaired it. Then we used it to compress air on an old gas cylinder that we converted. We bought the valves and stuff like that. So from time to time, if I found myself maybe at home I have a flat tire, I would inflate. I'll just inflate the tires with my air compressor.
That is so interesting.
And then again, come to 2020 when there was COVID. I'd visited another school and I felt like they had a lot of needs. Like they didn't have books, they didn't have pens, they didn't have desks, school desks. So I was just motivated to just talk to friends and fundraise a good amount of money to do the project and build them desks. So that was my other project that I did in 2020.
So when you were working, you just found yourself attracted to do these extra things.
Yeah. And like for me, I think the key thing, whenever you want to do anything, interest is good and having that passion is good, but then you must do it with precision. You must do your research well. You must do your research well. There's a friend I met a few years ago, a few years before the project, and then he was like, Adams, what project do you want us to do? So I said, let's build this for school children. I was like, yeah, we can do it. Then I said, you know what? I think we're going to spend a lot of time doing research. So we had to do research for around 4 months to be able to know this is the kind of material, the quality of material we're going to use, how we're going to bend the metal, the welding part, acquiring the welding machine, all those things, putting up a team, making sure that it's possible. Yeah, of course, when we started, a lot of people were doubting. I remember one guy who weighed around 200 kgs was doubting whether he can make a desk he can sit on. And so I remember when we were done with the first prototype, he said, wow, this looks good. I said, well, come, have a seat.
The desks yourselves?
Yeah. We made it ourselves, literally,
Wow.
Bending the metal, measuring, taking all the measurements. Of course, we had someone to help, like doing the welding. I was doing some of the welding as well.
Yeah.
But what was amazing is, fabrication can be hard or it can be easy depending on how you do it.
Yeah.
The advantage is, my friend from New York, he had done a lot of fabrication before. So that was added advantage when we were working together. I was learning 1 or 2 things from him every day because he was a hard worker. Every day would wake up and go and start bending metal.
So that's how you learned how to do it.
That's how I learned to do it. Of course, passion and research and listening. You in everything you do, always get someone who understands the process, who has done it before, then you can learn. Then you need to learn how to do like a good weld, how to do like a good bend, You need to learn about the materials that you need for your projects.
And that's why you had the 4 months research.
Yeah.
So how then did you get into production? Because I see you started with welding, you started, experimenting in the house. How then did you get into production and videography, which is what you identify yourself as your business?
Well, I think those are, part of it. Esther, we are born with a lot of abilities, talents, and gifts. And like I was telling another friend of mine, we have these gifts and talents. It's like a software. And when you install a software on a machine, you need to get to a point where you have to activate the software so that it can work and serve you better. And so you need like the key, activation key, all those things and passwords. So I think you get to a point whereby you have to nurture those gifts and talents so that you can actually become the person.
So do you say you became all that through experimental?
Yes.
You experimented in as many businesses as possible?
Well, I can go back to production and mention a little bit about that. Let me take you back when I was in campus.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in campus, when I went to school, I didn't know anything about video production or audio production. Actually, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I had interacted with an uncle of mine who was a DJ, and I had lived with him for a few months. I would admire his work. But then I remember the first time I went to this, I said, you know, I want to do journalism and video production. Do you guys have the studios? They said, yeah, but our studios are not in town, they're in Athi River.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm not applying until I go and make sure they are there.
So that's what you did.
That's what I did. When I was sure they are there, then I came back and handed over my application to join the school. So again, part of learning to work with things. I don't want someone telling me there's a studio or I can do journalism, I can't touch a microphone. Yeah. And so what happened is when I went to DESA, you know, DESA being expensive and coming from not very privileged background, I really wanted to work hard. And I remember telling my dad, Dad, thank you for taking me to school. I'm going to work very hard. I'll never disappoint you.
You actually said that.
I actually said that. And I remember one day when I was in my second year, he called me. He said, well, I have received your results and they are very impressive, so I'm happy. So continue doing well. So that's really motivated me, of course. And so what happened is I did a lot of reading when I was at DESA about video production. I was always around studio, helping students.
Yeah.
You know, like, I remember there was Shine FM. Even by the time I was getting to Shine FM, I wasn't interviewed. What happened is there are some people who are working at Shine FM who didn't understand how to edit their audios well.
Yeah.
So they were like, Mashirima, I think it was Mashirima Kapombe saying, I think, Adams, you can teach these people how to do it. Then she was like, can you come and teach them? So that's how I got into Shine FM.
Yeah.
So by the time people were doing interviews to go to Shine FM, I was already there. Never interviewed. I just found myself there because I had the scale. And that is my encouragement to people. If you have a scale, your scale, you nurture it well, it will take you where you want to be. And you offer yourself.
And
you have to be selfless. Because I was helping people in the studio all the time. People would come to me, I have this challenge, can you help me? I have this challenge, can you help me? And so that was it. And by the time actually I was in my third year, DESA University as a school, they were consulting me. You know, they were like, whenever they had trainings, they were training people from outside. They'd say, if there's someone who understands this technical thing, is Adams. He's the one who's going to train them. Yeah, he's going to train them video production, how to handle camera operations, you know, video editing, audio production, how to edit. And I would do that. So, and they would pay me for that. Yeah. It was not free. Yeah.
So it kick-started you on your journey as a videographer.
Exactly. So that's how I did it.
That's how you started. So how then did you end up in the matatu business? What was that, and how did that happen?
You know, in business, a lot of times,
yeah,
I think we get a lot of inspiration from some people.
Yeah.
And when you see them doing the business and succeeding and excelling, you think that it's easy. You can just go and start.
Yeah.
Of course, I've always loved cars. So for me, having a matatu wasn't even a big issue because I was like, furthermore, it's a car.
Like a car.
I can drive it. It's a car. I can do anything with it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can go to the farm and carry goods with it. Maybe I can carry people. So for me, that was really
Was it an exciting adventure? What was it like for you switching from something so different like production into that sector?
You see, for me, I think it's all about the process.
Yeah.
How I acquired the car. How I even help fabricate some of the parts inside, like when we were doing the audio, you know, all those things,
Yeah.
I remember, you know, drawing where will be the TV monitor place, you know, all those things, and, you know, seats, arrangement, charging system and stuff like that. But the business itself is not as easy, or wasn't as easy, as I thought before.
Yeah.
Because then you see, this is a car, it's a van, that for you to make money or for you to succeed, you have to get a certain number of passengers so that you're able to cater for fuel. You pay the conductor, you pay the driver, you pay,
There's a lot of people to pay.
including the policemen. And they are not shareholders.
Yes, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah. There's a lot of people to pay, and it was not easy. It was tough. At times I drove it once in a while. At times I became the conductor. Yeah. So because I had other things I was doing, but I'll go from time to time. I'd go and supervise and be there. And whenever I was there, I would actually make money. But whenever I'm not there,
You don't get it.
you don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't go
think
to
there are
work that
those-
day, it's either they were arrested the police or something funny happened.
It's so interesting what they say about Kenya and businesses, that you have to be present.
Yeah, you have to be present.
Yeah.
That's one thing about business. You have to be present. If you are not there
In Kenya,
and you don't have good people who are passionate and who are honest, you won't make it in business.
the thing,
Yeah. So
yeah.
for me, I learned it was really hard. And you see what happened is because of the financial crisis that I was going through that time in my own personal life, I didn't have like a good insurance for the car. And so it was involved in an accident.
Yes.
It cost a lot of money to repair. By the time I'm repairing and by the time the repairs are done, I'm behind paying the loan because I had a loan to pay because I just put a deposit on it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Finally, I ended up not catching up
Yeah.
and I lost it. But I've lost so many things in life, but I don't stop there.
And that is that's why your story is very inspiring. And just as you keep sharing a story after another, and constantly reinventing and starting whole other bigger projects, even bigger than before.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think that started from entrepreneurship, or where does that resilience stem from? Because I think, as we are discussing, this show is portraits of hope, and it's just about how then do you reinvent? How then did you come to that point of reinvention?
For me, I think there is hope because I've seen it. I've been able to fail in certain areas. But I've also been able to excel. I've excelled in several other areas.
So the reminder of what you've excelled in is a constant...
Yes, it's a constant reminder that there's hope.
Yeah.
And even where I've not succeeded, you can look at it now.
Yeah.
You can look at it now as failure. But believe you me, I'm better than the person who never tried. And believe you me, one day, maybe very soon,
You'll start from
I'll go
experience.
back to the transport business. It will be different. I'll do it differently. It doesn't have to be the method. I can do hires and anything else. But I'll go back. It's a good business.
That way, actually, because I feel like I've also gone through that journey of experiencing different types of failures, and it looks like failures, but it's lessons that are acquired from different.
Yeah. It's usually hard when you fail. And sometimes it can be a stigma. There are times, usually what happens is if you don't succeed in a certain project, then there are people, of course, who will talk to you about it. There are people who will laugh at you. Like I remember one day, my dad was telling me, I don't think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
No, maybe you need to sell it, It was really discouraging.
Usually.
Yeah, but the other areas where he's really encouraged me, like my dad is the reason why I read a lot of books up to date, because when I was done with high school, the first book my dad brought me home was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's why I began my reading journey.
Understanding.
And so I know he wants the best for me.
Yeah.
And even the people who want the best for you, they can be harsh. Sometimes you just have to deal with the realities of life. And so for me, I think entrepreneurship, it's a journey, right? It's a journey. And that journey has many challenges, has many obstacles. And so what you need to do to succeed, you need to get people who have gone ahead of you and get them to mentor you. Like in the area of video production, journalism, I've had a mentor for a long, long time. She's still my mentor. And when you're mentored, is you're taught things the right way. Instead of learning the hard way,
attempting,
you
actually go systemic.
You are taught these are the processes. If you want to do 1, 2, 3, these are the processes. If you fail or if you don't follow the processes, then there's a high possibility that you'll fail. And so for me, I think anyone who wants to do business or do entrepreneurship, just find the area where you want to venture into, get a person who has excelled in that business, and just get to learn from them, learn the challenges, how did they overcome the challenges, then you become better. You have a good place to start. And I think the other thing that is very, very key in business, business is very spiritual. And if you don't understand that concept of business, your hard work, whether you have a lot of money pumping in, reinvesting, it might actually not even pay at the end of the day, because there are a lot of attacks you get from the competitors who understand the spiritual world more than you. And for me, I used to hear stories about people in matatu industry, they are devil worshippers, they're in cults. When I was there, I was approached by so many people about me joining their membership so that I can succeed and excel in business. And I said, I said to God, if I'm not succeeding without your help, I would rather not have that as a business. Let it just fall on the side, So you have to pray to God. Whatever it is, just understand it's spiritual.
I really like that. I think just getting that perspective can also help you even as you go forward, or as you try again to understand there's just a bigger thing than just trying. Because then you can be like, I've tried everything, I've done everything, but this is what is happening.
This is what is happening.
So now you're on to even greater things, bouncing back, just picking all that and learning all the lessons. How was that like for you? Or did you at one point think, no more business, let me just go back?
For me, I think really I've always desired to affect other people who are not privileged, be it in the area of education, be it in the area of access to clean water. So many things, there are many needs we need to address in the community. And so even when I did the desk project, people think I had a tender that I was being paid to actualize, which was not true. I raised money from friends to help the needy in a certain school that needed the help that time. And so for me, I've noticed that even growing up, there's been a lot of need to access to clean water. And so now what I'm doing, I'm working on a project that will make that possible, to make sure that people can access water affordably, because drilling services in Kenya are very expensive. And so because I have that, that is the why you have to meet that need of access to clean water. And so I thought, I need to come up with a concept and develop a water drilling rig that is able to address some of these challenges. And so that is what I'm working on right now.
That's exciting. All right. So as we wind up, what would you tell other emerging entrepreneurs based on your own experience, rising from all types of experiences into even bigger projects? What would you tell entrepreneurs about entrepreneurship in itself and how to keep the hope alive?
I think for me as an entrepreneur, you need to understand the why. Why are you doing your project? What need are you serving or meeting? And I think that way you do it the right way. Because then if you start business and you want to make money quickly, there are several other ways of making money quickly. You can sell drugs, you can steal, you know, I mean, you can make money, you can, yeah.
There are easy ways,
yeah. But remember, entrepreneurship is a process. You must be able to solve a need. And by the time you are done solving the need, I think you'll have the resources and the money you've always maybe desired to have.
Yeah.
So for me, identify the need you need to serve.
You're right.
And sometimes maybe it's in your house. There's a need you have. Yeah. There's a need you have. Maybe in an area where power keeps going out, you know.
How can you be the solution provider?
How can you be the solution? Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Are you going to come up with a product that can be the backup for people with homes, or can you supply power in rural areas where there's no electricity? You know, just serve the need and you'll be good to go.
Yeah. All right. You had that. Meet the need and you'll be good to go. What problems do you have around you that you can provide solutions for? And remember, it's not about the money or the freedom, as many people say. It's about the why. Why do you want to do this? You have been watching Portraits of Hope with me, Esther Neema, interviewing Joy Adams Munene, and see you next time as we interview even more great and amazing people who will be joining us here on the show. Thank you once again for joining us. Do have a lovely day.